Monday. I want to say that it was a victory Sunday yesterday. The only victory Sunday was what the Cleveland Cavaliers gave to us, but we're going to dive all into that because we got a whole bunch of sports talk that we're going to get into what transpired over this past weekend. And I know that we do not have some happy Ohioans up in Cleveland right now or the state unless you root for Cincinnati. So we got Caleb Blake on with us, rising sophomore at the Ohio State University. And how are you doing, Caleb?
As good as I can be after this weekend. It was a tough one. It was a tough one. I
Yeah, man.
mean, it's bad weekend to be an Ohio sports fan, to be honest.
Yeah, a Northeast Ohio sports fan. But like I
I
said,
yeah,
we're gonna get to them a little later. The Cleveland
right,
Cavaliers are the ones that held it down this week for us. I don't
right.
know who ever thought it would have been the Cavs, but the Cavs are balling right. Let's go ahead and get into the Cleveland Browns. So Cleveland Browns had a division game against what people can perceive to be their rival, the Baltimore Ravens, and despite having 4 takeaways, they were not able to win this game. Caleb, give me some of your overall thoughts regarding this game between the Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens, and Lamar doing what he normally does, which is magic.
You know, I feel like it's the same thing every weekend. We always come on and talk about how like the Browns, like everything, nothing can go right for us. Nothing can go right for us right now. That's what it feels like watching this football team. I mean, they gave us the game yesterday. We had 4 turnovers on Lamar Jackson, something that hasn't happened all season. Honestly, all of his career, I don't think he's had a game that bad because he had 3 interceptions in the second quarter alone. And we still couldn't find a way to get it done because of our offensive struggles. I mean, it's the same story every week. The defense, honestly, I mean, Lamar was Lamar, at the end of the game, and he did what he had to do. But the defense, honestly, didn't even play bad. I mean, we held a very high-powered offense and a great running game to, 16 points through 60 minutes. And I mean, there were definitely times when Lamar Jackson's going to make great plays. The touchdown he had to Mark Andrews, even the throw before that, even though Ronnie Harrison shouldn't have let that happen in the first place. But that's neither here
Let
nor
me
there.
let me ask you a question. Does that Lamar Mark Andrews combination kind of remind you of Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelsey?
Oh, I think they're
How
getting there. I think they're
how
getting
they
there.
how like they always how he always manages to find Mark Andrews in a tough spot, and once again he was able to find him in a clutch and what should have been a 3 and out. He managed to find him as always. Go ahead though. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're good. I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, it was every time they needed a clutch play. You know where the ball is going, you can't stop it. I mean, and that nice tight end connection because Baltimore's offense is very similar to us. I mean, they don't really have Hollywood Brown has had or Marquise Brown. We have the real Hollywood, even though he didn't play yesterday. But I mean, he's having a great season, but they're very reliant on their tight ends. They don't really have a whole lot of explosiveness outside. I guess Rashad Bateman is trying to change that right now, but Mark Andrews is definitely that kind of, where I look at Travis Kelsey as more of a number one option on the Chiefs is like kind of that dependable guy. I think Mark Andrews is the same way. But yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, we couldn't get anything going.
yeah, I agree with a lot of your points. The one of the amazing statistics is I believe that a team that got 4 turnovers usually wins the game, and of course, and this is the first time in like NFL history that a team got 4 turnovers and wasn't able to win the game and only was able to turn that into 3 points. Remember, we missed the field goal, so special teams didn't have everything they need to be. Shout out to the Scottish Hammer because he is balling right now when it comes to punts. Remember, he had some issues in the very beginning of the season, but
Oh yeah,
he's pretty much steady Eddie. We had a missed field goal, which isn't really characteristic of McLaughlin, but he was able to make the next 46-yard field goal, which bounced off. We got a lucky bounce, and it bounced inside the uprights, so we missed that. I would say that defense gets the game ball because they were, containing Baltimore, something that's very hard to do, but they contained Baltimore. It was our offense combined with Baker Mayfield and Kevin Stefanski that wasn't able to get the job done. There was some periods where I'm just like, Baltimore is number 2 in stopping the run. So that, okay, I got a team that's very good at stopping the run. How am I going to be able to beat this team? There was one instance where everybody was loaded up, and NBC pointed this out. There was one instance where everybody was loaded up to the left of the box, and the run play was to the left.
And that's the story of our play calling this season. I mean, I feel like Kev still kind of hasn't figured it out, and I want to give him the benefit of the doubt because he's absolutely our guy. We can't, not ready to move on or anything like that. That's not what I'm going to say at all. But he has to be better if he wants to keep calling the plays or get somebody better to do it. Just get a better offensive coordinator. I mean, you have to know the Baltimore's going to go in and they're going to game plan to stop Nick Chubb, especially, and they're going to bring pressure because Baker's clearly hobbled. And they did that. Chubb had 8 carries, 16 yards. Kareem Hunt, I don't think only had 7 carries. I believe he had 29 yards. I'm not totally certain on that, but I mean it's unacceptable for you can still find other ways to get those guys the ball. I mean, Nick Chubb and Kareem are both. I mean, obviously Kareem's more known for being a pass catching back, but either of those guys can make plays in space on nice little screens or line them up out in the slot or whatnot. So I think just as a whole, the game plan just wasn't there. And Baker just didn't. I mean, he didn't help either. So it's the same story that we've been saying since he got hurt.
Yeah, before my phone rang, I was talking about them loading up to the left of the line, and then the run is a design run to the left. I didn't understand that. And then also, when they're putting 8 in the box, why aren't you throwing the ball or trying to throw some screens to your running backs or something like that? I know Dearness Johnson had a target and he dropped. So there was a lot of instances in which the ball was dropped, and it doesn't help. It doesn't help because you already got Baker who's out here playing hurt, but almost every receiver who had the ball thrown to them dropped the ball, and that wasn't a good thing as well. I don't know what we were doing when we had Jarvis Landry in there attempting to pass, and he fumbled the ball.
Yeah, that was a catastrophe. I mean, what do we like? That's just terrible discipline. Like, if the play's not there, Jarvis is a veteran guy, and I know I can't say that because last week he did the same thing, scored a touchdown. But you gotta feel out the situation. I mean, that was a total momentum killer because we were balling on that drive too. I mean, getting into their territory.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a particular play in which you can run that against the Baltimore Ravens. I think that their defense is too good for that. Yeah, you can run that against the Detroit Lions, who are 9-1, but you're not going to run that against the Baltimore Ravens and think that one of the better defenses in the league. Actually, think that you're going to be able to go off for that. So I don't know what they were thinking when they did that, but and Jarvis should have known better as well too. I don't know what he was thinking. He should have thrown it away. But before he knew it, he was surrounded. He looked like he was in a wind tunnel or in the washing machine. And next thing you know, the ball is coming out and it was recovered by Baltimore. So, yeah, just, Myles Garrett in the defense, they were able to get to Lamar. They were able to, hurry him up. They were able to knock him down. And there was still nothing that came out of that. And, I rarely root for other teams. I really don't root for other teams. Like, they got to be underdog teams for me to root for them. But I root for Lamar as an individual, never against the Cleveland Browns because of how bad they dogged him and was talked about how he shouldn't be a quarterback, how he should switch to wide receiver, and he's not the best quarterback in the league, but he is one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and what he's been able to do for that team is something to behold. So I always root for him as an individual, and those successful accolade, for him to, have all the accolades and all that other stuff because of how bad he was dogged, as they have a tendency to do to black quarterbacks. But I mean, it's just like, pretty much he's a video game against the Cleveland Browns, and he always manages to perform well against us. And you think about week 14, how they had that shootout. And then you think about this week, how it wasn't a shootout at all. And the Browns could barely score.
But with what, 10 points? 10 to
Yes.
16? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny. We got a comment. Ravens Browns was more like a game of Uno, and both teams had reverse cards, which is exactly what it was like watching that yesterday. It was like, no, how about you guys win the game? No, you win the game. I mean, we were.
I mean, they did everything possible. Lamar had 3 interceptions. I mean,
there's
come
no
on,
way.
man.
I just don't understand how we were making play after play on defense, and that's the one thing that we've been saying. If our defense can just keep us going, like you got to have faith in the offense. I mean, but we just couldn't get anything going. Like you said, the drops earlier. I mean, just nothing. The only receiver Jarvis, other than the fumble, did have a pretty solid game yesterday. I think
he had over 100 yards receiving.
Yeah, I think that was the first time, especially because recently separation has been a big problem for us, and we didn't have Anthony Schwartz or Hollywood, even though he's not a speed demon either. But just so many opportunities. When you have a great quarterback like that, you can't not capitalize on things like that. The biggest play to me that stands out was when we were driving and it was the fumble on the screen pass to Kareem Hunt at the 50-yard line, because that was a drive that we had gotten an interception on Lamar, but you have to score on that. You can't just give the ball away.
Yeah, so Baker was 18 for 37 with 247 yards. What are your and to win a game, you don't need him to throw for 300. This was a perfectly winnable game in which you didn't need Baker to go all out like that, and we didn't win this. Yeah. We didn't win this. It hurts us when we don't, make a field goal. That totally hurts us because, we could at least won 13-16. Lost 13-16. But the fact that they weren't able to move the ball on those interceptions is just crazy. And Lamar was 20 for 32 with 165 yards and 1 touchdown and 4 interceptions. And you mentioned something about, so the lead-in rusher was Kareem Hunt with 7 carries for 20 yards. So you were right on that. Jarvis Landry had 6 receptions for 111 yards. And this was so Jarvis Landry his that passing stat was zeros all across the board, and he was sacked. So that was terrible. But they were able to stop the running game, and that was their plan because they're the number 2 defense in the league, and the Browns are one of the number 1 rushing offenses. They committed to doing that, and they were able to flourish doing that. So Nick Chubb wasn't even your lead, didn't even have 20 yards. That is amazing to me.
When was the last time? Honestly, I've never seen Nick Chubb bottled up the way he was yesterday, and it's not. Honestly, usually we complain about the lack of carries for him. He only had 8 carries, but the way that they came into it, you have to adjust for the game plan. And if, Baltimore clearly said straight up, we're stacking the box, we're committing to, Nick Chubb's not going to beat us today. And, after that, that's when you got to make those adjustments. And unfortunately, we just weren't able to do that yesterday. But I'm also tired of hearing the same thing from Coach Stefanski after every game, saying exactly what I just said, basically, we just have to be better, we'll go look at the film. I don't keep saying that. Just, you can't keep saying that. Go out on the field and do something about it.
Yeah, you already know that's what he's going to say. That's why his press conferences are mainly useless. And, you mentioned Hollywood Higgins. And did you listen to the press conference today that he gave about why Hollywood Higgins wasn't playing?
I didn't hear it. What was the reason?
He said something about it being special teams. So I don't know what that means, but it kind of was a BS answer because there was no good answer. So I don't know if he's in the doghouse or what's going on. But when you have a receiving core that's depleted, because remember, you don't have Anthony Schwartz. He didn't play yesterday. You didn't have Hollywood Higgins. So that's two receivers. So who did you have? Jarvis and DPJ. And that was pretty much it. So, and I still think they need to pick up a receiver, but he pretty much said it was due to special teams is why Hollywood Higgins didn't play. And frankly, that's not good enough because this team needs another receiver. It needs him to be able to catch balls because yesterday they didn't have it. And you mentioned something about the running game, but do you think that they should have kept going with it, even though Baltimore was stopping it? You got to keep going and you got to get in a rhythm and get it going and wear them down by trying to stop the run. Do you think they gave up on the run too early?
I don't want to say we gave up on it too early because if you take away, I mean, that whole second quarter was just ridiculous because it was just back and forth, mistake after mistake by both teams. But I think maybe if we could have mixed Kareem in a little more, because it seemed like he kind of disappeared a lot in the middle of that game, I wouldn't have minded to see him kind of get in there because his first couple runs, I mean, he's a physical back. He, takes a huge wear and tear on your defense. He had a few, some nice runs in there. Obviously, Baltimore adjusted and was able to bottle him up more. And, I mean, he only got 7 carries anyway. So I wouldn't have minded to maybe see a little switch there. Not that Nick Chubb, because once you let Kareem kind of bust in and break him open, and then Nick Chubb can be that, between the tackles, bounced outside kind of guy because and do what he does best in the fourth quarter. I feel like that's usually our plan of attack anyway. Especially when we're in the worst spot possible right now because if we're not going to play Case Keenum, then Baker, we don't trust Baker, but we can't play Case Keenum. So we're in an awful, awful spot without the run game. And when we get bottled up like that by Baltimore, it's just there's nothing we can really do about it.
Nick Chubb had 8 carries for 16 yards. So we're going to go ahead and take our first break really quickly. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We will be right back.
United. We're united to give you all the information from sports, music, gospel, mental health, financial literacy, anything that you need. We got it here at WOVU 95.9 FM. Don't forget to download our app right now. Go to your mobile app store, download WOVU. Put it on your phone. This is one of the reasons why you need to listen to us. We are the community. We're for the community. I am your music director, DJ Chris Towles. And thank you for listening to WOVU 95.9 FM.
Patients with COVID long haul syndrome often seek medical help, but their symptoms are not recognized as being COVID related. The impact on patients' health can range from mild to totally debilitating. After the initial COVID infection, there are several symptoms that may indicate long haul COVID or COVID-19 syndrome. These symptoms are shortness of breath, coughing and fever, fatigue and exhaustion, brain fog, atypical chest pain and palpitations, behavioral health issues like depression and anxiety, difficulties with cognition and memory, insomnia and other sleep problems, generalized pain and muscle aches, joint pain and impaired mobility, persistent loss of smell and taste, headaches, diarrhea, skin rashes. To receive more information on post-COVID or long haul syndrome, visit WOVU.org. Click on the banner at the top of the page and complete a brief survey. This message is brought to you by WOVU 95.9 FM, Our Voices United, Burton Bell Carr Community Radio.
Welcome back to Her in the Huddle with Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports.
All right, welcome back to Her and Huddle, WOVU 95.9 FM. You can always give us a call at 216-271-0959. Remember, you can go to WOVU.org to listen to us on the internet. You can download that WOVU so you can listen to us on the go. And you can also watch us on StreamYard on Facebook.com, on StreamYard All Sports All Plays Network. And I am here with Caleb Blake, rising sophomore at The Ohio State University. We are going to get into the game in a little bit, but we still got to finish up talking about these Browns. So, Caleb, let me read some stats for you. Jarvis Landry, he had 10 targets for 6 receptions. He had 111 yards, and his average was 18.5. The longest was that 38-yard play that we had. Harrison Bryant, 3 receptions, 3 targets. The longest, he had 50 yards receiving. David Njoku, and David Njoku had 3 receptions, 5 targets for 35 yards, and the touchdown, which was a 20-yard. And then you want to go down to Austin Hooper, Kareem Hunt, and Demetric Felton, who all had targets but did not have catches. And Donovan Peoples-Jones looked like he had 5 targets with 2 receptions. So he had the dropsies as well. So these did not help when it came to Baker Mayfield, who was already struggling to throw the ball, to connect, to have his catches count. And what are your thoughts about the receiving core yesterday?
I mean, it was encouraging to see. I'm not gonna say it was encouraging to see Jarvis Landry play well. Let me say that. I think he's been probably our best receiver stats. Well, I don't know the specific stats, but since Odell has left, I mean, he's been that guy. The stats don't surprise me too much, though. I mean, Harrison Bryant and, David Njoku being the other 2 top guys. I mean, we rely very heavily on the tight end, so that's not too shocking. But the drops, and drops are a thing that it's not just this game. I mean, it's been kind of a recurring problem all season. You can look at, there have been specific moments throughout, each game. And the drop yesterday that stuck out to me was the one on 3rd and 5, when I think it was Demetric Felton. He dropped that ball on 3rd and 5 on the out route. Like, that's a play you got to make, especially when you, like you said, your quarterback is struggling. I mean, he's doing all he can out there. I'm not, I honestly wasn't too upset with the way Baker played, other than the well, okay, there was the fumble, which was obviously that's demoralizing, because we should have scored.
That was terrible.
Oh, that was awful. I mean, because it realistically, I mean, you have Kareem Hunt. Well, first of all, we would at least have gotten 3 points because we were in Baltimore's territory. Then Kareem Hunt, if he completes that pass, I mean, he's, obviously as dynamic as he is in the open field, and he has blockers in front of him, he could have scored a touchdown. So that's an absolute killer. And then he also had another overthrow, which, I mean, we get at least one of those a week now. I'm not like
but he's averaging more than one a week of overthrows.
Luckily, they dropped it, though, so we got bailed out this time. I mean, Baltimore did everything they could to give us this game, and we still lost. So I just
even the officials. What about the 12 man on the field play?
Oh,
and then you call a timeout, and then you still come back in with 12 men on the field. What is the problem?
And I don't get it, because, I feel like since Stefanski's come in, we talk about this great culture and how we're no longer the Browns of old.
Football.
Yeah, we make these boneheaded, like, undisciplined mistakes. I mean, that's stuff that the 0-16 Browns would do. I mean, we should be embarrassed. That can't happen if you want to be a playoff team. And I mean, we always talk about Super Bowl in the beginning, or at least we have, for the past 2 years. And I mean, we're struggling to make the playoffs right now. So.
Yeah, because what the original penny had got wiped out, right? Because it was a penalty on Baltimore, right? So wiped it out. And then you call a timeout, and then you huddle up, and you still go out there with 12 men on the field. I mean, I don't understand. This is an undisciplined team. You know, everybody's like, this isn't a Kevin Stefanski team. Well, yeah, it is. And this is what happens when everything is falling off the rails and everything is falling apart. You have penalties like this because the referees, for once, they actually helped us. For once, we wasn't the most penalized. Well, we are the most penalized, you know, team in the league. But in this game, we weren't the most penalized. So I'm just watching this game and I'm just in disbelief at the, you know, inattentiveness of this. You know, I mean, that just happened, you know, sparingly. But overall, you know, this defense played amazingly.
Yeah, I couldn't have been happier with the performance from the defense yesterday, honestly, because they just made play after play. I mean, unfortunately, Lamar is going to get a couple of those plays, like the touchdown and that drive as a whole. I mean, Jadeveon Clowney was creating great pressure. That's a play that only Lamar Jackson is going to make. So that was the only real drive that they kind of got, you know, a whole lot going where I was like, oh, this is, you know, I mean, all right, that's fine. But other than that, we played a pretty much as perfect of a game as you can play against an offense like that and against a player of Lamar's caliber. Yet, you know, we still couldn't find. It's like we're finding ways to lose. I just don't get it. We almost don't want to be great. We don't want to be great.
Yeah, did Joe Woods save his job for another week?
Oh,
because you can't blame this loss on him. You can't blame the loss on defense. You can't at all.
You can't say nothing about the defensive performance yesterday was honestly that bad. Like I was saying, even when they scored, that was, you know, it wasn't terrible defense. Lamar Jackson's just that guy. So yesterday, I mean, 4 turnovers against a guy like that, and obviously they weren't all, you know, I mean, turnovers are just part of it. You just got to make plays on defense. It's obviously Lamar made some bad throws like that. The 2 of them in the second quarter were, I mean, plays that he would never, no quarterback should ever be making. But I mean, we capitalized, and I couldn't ask for anything better. So he definitely saved his job for at least another week.
All right, looks like Marshawn is joining us. You about to make a turn, huh?
Oh, yeah. Man, I'm just listening to what y'all got to say. I mean, I've kind of already, it's a lost cause for the season for me. I've kind of already threw the towel in a couple weeks ago. So
it's over. It's over.
Anything after this is stat padding for me. I mean, I honestly don't see us, even if we go out and beat Green Bay and Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Baltimore one time, I still don't see us beating the Kansas Cities when it comes to it. The Buffalo when it comes to it. I don't see us beating New England again if we got to see them. So, I mean, I kind of feel like, you know, at this point, just get healthy and let's try again next year. You know, I mean, they standing by Baker. They don't want to put anybody else out there because it seems like maybe either Stefanski don't have faith in Case Keenum or, you know, this is a decision coming from somebody higher than Stefanski that, hey, you know, you got to play Baker. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I tuned in at the right time. You guys were talking about the defense. I mean, I agree. You know, the defense couldn't play no better than what they did yesterday. You know, I don't fault anybody on the defense. Every phase, the D-line, linebackers, corners all played excellent. And, you know, you just spoiled it because we couldn't get 3 points on 2 drives. So, I don't know. I'm back to just watching basketball now, you know.
Well, I mean,
I actually fell asleep on the game. After they got, what was it, 10 men on the field. I was like, yeah, I kind of know how this result's gonna turn out. So
I forgot about the 10 men on the field. I forgot about the 10 men on the field because you had the 2 12 men on the field penalties. So I kind of forgot about that all sandwiched into one.
Yeah, it's just, man, it's mental. All of that is mental. You know, you can't blame that on coaching. Coaching didn't tell those guys to go out there with 10 people. That's all mental. That's guys who, I mean, for a lack of a better term, is half. You know what I'm saying. They half in it right now. So, I don't know. I mean, I hate to believe this is the same old Browns, but like I was saying last week, I mean, the Browns themselves haven't done anything for anybody to believe that they've changed. Yes, we went to the playoffs last year, but outside of that, what have we done? We lost to Baltimore twice. Yeah, we beat Pittsburgh, but they're on their last straw. We didn't beat a strong Pittsburgh team. This year we haven't beat a good team to date. I mean, yeah, we beat Cincinnati, but I consider that we got an intimidating factor on Cincinnati. That's an in-state rivalry right there. So outside of that, I mean, we haven't beat nobody to write home about. That just made me feel like, oh, okay, I feel comfortable with this team. So until we do that, we're just gonna be the same old Browns.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, there's nothing. We don't have a marquee win. I mean, we lost to a worse Pittsburgh team, in my opinion, than last year's team. A few weeks ago. I mean, everything you just said was absolutely correct. I'm not giving up on the season yet, though. I'm not giving up on the season. We're 6-6. We're still in the hunt. I mean, our division is very close knit. I think we'll go into the bye week. If we're not going to play Case Keenum, at least basically can get a whole week of rest. We'll see what happens with that. It is what it is. But come in with a better game plan. Hopefully we can get the running game going and get back to our fundamentals next weekend. But we'll see what happens.
All right, guys. We got to take a quick break right quick. We'll be right back. You're listening to Her in the Huddle, WOVU 95.9 FM. We'll be right back. Hey, Marshawn.
Yo.
Can you turn that turn signal off? It's coming through.
Okay.
All
I didn't even know I had it on.
That's all right. It was coming through on air, so. All right.
Oh, okay.
Caleb, you got a knocking noise. What's that?
A knocking noise?
Yeah, it sounds like wood or something coming through.
I'm sitting on I could put it on my lap. I don't know if it's my desk or anything like that.
Okay. All right, welcome back to Her in the Huddle, WOVU 95.9 FM. This is your girl, Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports, and we are in the house today talking some Cleveland Browns. It is not a victory Monday at all, and Marshawn said he's going to stop watching football, which we know is a lie. Marshawn going to keep watching football, so that's okay. We always lie and say, well, we're not going to watch next week. I'm done watching them. Every Sunday at 1:00, here we go watching the team. So we already know. So man, it's gonna be a long 2 weeks on this bye week. The Cleveland Browns. I mean, I consider the season to be over, quite honestly, myself. They have a lot to work on mathematically. It's a slim possibility chance that they could possibly make the playoffs, but I'm going to go they're not going to be able to because they still have Cincinnati up. They still have Pittsburgh again in Pittsburgh. They got Cincinnati at home. They play the Raiders. That's a toss-up. They're not going to be able to beat Green Bay at Green Bay. And I forgot who our last game is against, but we're not going to win. So, Marshawn,
Cincinnati.
Our last game
close out with Cincinnati. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The way Cincinnati is rolling right now, I don't think the Browns will be able to beat them. But for whatever reason, that Cincinnati matchup is a favorable matchup. I just told the audience I think you were lying about not watching football anymore.
Yeah. I say I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to be watching the Browns.
Yeah,
I know exactly where you'll be at 1:00 on Sunday. Oh, not this Sunday.
I won't watch it. I watch the highlights. I'm not about to hurt. I'm not about to go out there and watch them do tight end screens and running back screens. I'm not going.
This was a winnable game, though, Marshawn.
I'd rather rewatch the rewind of the game than watch another disappointing. Jeez Louise.
This was a winnable game. They didn't get blown out.
Yeah, it was. But I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, this just shows how much of an organization. I mean, how much of that we need to grow as an organization. That we're not how far we are as an organization. I mean, some of the good organizations who's struggling now can figure out how to pull a good win out like this. Like Cincinnati ain't their average organization. They're not a top tier organization, but they found a way to exploit Baltimore's weakness. Miami isn't a top organization. They found a way to exploit weakness. We haven't found that yet for some reason.
Lamar's our kryptonite. We can't stop Lamar. No matter what, he always come through in the clutch. And I was asking Caleb a little bit earlier, is Mark Andrews his Travis Kelce, and is he that Pat Mahomes? Just that special combination with that tight end. That's a lot who they remind me of, because he's always able to find Mark Andrews in the clutch. Is always for a big gain as well. Like yesterday, the touchdown, and it was another big game, but he's just always able to find Mark Andrews, and it beats us, it exploits us. But the defense, I don't really have anything bad to say about the defense. I feel like they played very well on Sunday. It was the offense, it was Baker and Kevin Stefanski. So I don't even feel like getting into it about Baker this today. We already know how terrible he's playing. We know he's playing hurt, but either he's overthrowing or underthrowing. It barely is making connections with people. So, at this point, it's a wash to me. But fellas, it was not a victory Sunday as we thought it was going to be. It was a losing Sunday. So let's move on and talk about the Ohio State University and their loss to Michigan. Caleb, a rising sophomore at the Ohio State University, tell us what happened. Why were we not able to beat our rival in the game, the biggest game, rivalry week?
I'm gonna go ahead and put myself on mute for this. I want to hear everything before I say.
I was actually, I have a lot to say. I was gonna let.
So you want me to go first?
Yeah, I want to hear what you have to say first, and then I'll respond.
Well, I mean, Ohio State went up to Ann Arbor looking for a boxing match, and Michigan was ready for a bar fight. That's pretty much what happened.
Kimbo Slice.
Michigan was tired of hearing about how they lost for 3,700 and some odd days. They were tired of hearing. Harbaugh was tired of hearing the fact that he's never beat Ohio State a day in his life, and he prepared them last year. This was a year, and this was something in the making. I've been arguing with a lot of people that I've told them, they quit on Ohio State last year. They knew they was going to get at least. They was going to lose by 70 or more last year, and they knew they weren't ready.
Remember Ryan Day said we should hang 100 on them?
Yeah.
But Ohio State just didn't come to play, man. And, they kind of let the success of last year and let the success of this year, and the media kind of put it in their head that, they were a lock for the playoffs. They kind of, and in my sense, they kind of looked past the Michigan game as a game that they, had, I wouldn't even say penciled in, sharpied in as a W. They kind of felt like the streak was going to go on, and they couldn't get it done on the ground. Anybody that actually pays attention to the game knows that you're not going to beat Michigan. You're not going to beat Ohio State in the air. You're going to beat them on the ground. Braxton Miller, J.T. Barrett. Only person that I know beat him in the air was Justin Fields. J.T. Barrett only threw for like 9 passes when he played. Braxton Miller only had like 5 passes completed when they played, but you had Ezekiel Elliott and J.K. Dobbins behind you. Now, I'm not understanding why, TreVeyon Henderson didn't get as many touches as he did, and why he didn't get the touches at the right time. There was one point, I think it was to open the half. I don't understand why you running 3 times in a row to open the half.
Yeah,
you should at least you should have at least did 2 runs and maybe a pass, but not 3 straight and go 3-and-out. When they went 3-and-out on that to open up the half, I kind of felt like, yeah, it's kind of over. I don't think I think this ain't the type of game where you want to be down one or more than one score, and it's a rivalry again, man. The defense just, man, we could be here all day talking about the defense, man. Every part of the defense just played horribly. The linebackers played horribly. The D-line played horribly. Like they didn't have that defensive leader on Saturday to get that team together. I'll tell you this, and then I'll hand it over to you. This is I normally know when Ohio State is going to lose how undisciplined they are. When you're getting penalties, when you're getting in fights with the other team,
the helmet rip off,
yeah. The helmet rip off, he get a pass because whoever that was on Michigan definitely was grabbing his ankle and all like that. So he was trying to get loose. You wouldn't let me loose. I'm gonna try. That is what it is. I don't knock him for that. But
it cost us 15 yards and a touchdown.
15.
The false start and all of that other stuff, man. That wasn't Ohio State football. So, I mean, hey, they're gonna be in the Great Lakes, Top Town Hall Bowl. I'm out there, just like my Maryland Terps. We both going to useless bowls that really don't matter. So
this dude always wants to talk about Maryland.
But listen. I said this after the Maryland game. I lie to you now. I actually screenshot it saying when they played Maryland and Maryland didn't get no pressure on them. I said the team that gets pressure on C.J. Stroud is going to beat Ohio State because he's not a dual-threat quarterback. I mean, I'm not being racist or anything, but he reminds me of a black version of Matt Ryan. No mobility, strong arm, extremely accurate, but just has zero mobility. I was extremely shocked to see him run out the pocket and get that touchdown running about 5'2". I'm gonna let you go, man. I'm gonna let you talk about your squad now, man. I said my piece.
Yeah, you touched on most of the things I'm gonna talk about. I also want to, before I even say anything, Jim Harbaugh finally getting the win. I loved his quote after the game about Ryan Day because he wasn't wrong at all. He said, "You guys heard about that?" He said,
you being on third.
Some people are born on third base and think they hit a triple. And honestly, I mean, he wasn't wrong. However, Ryan Day, he has all these 5-star recruits now and whatnot, and he got Justin Fields to come here last year. But the way that he carries himself, and I feel like since within the past 2 years, we've kind of just believed that we're owed everything, like we're owed a playoff spot. And I'm saying this as a fan and just like the way the team carries themselves. Like we came to play too cute. We didn't come in for, like you said, we came in for a boxing match and Michigan was ready for a street fight. Like we didn't have any integrity on defense. I mean, it was an embarrassment. And I knew after the first drive, honestly, I was like, oh, this is like we're in trouble because Hassan Haskins ran all over us and it was the whole game. But the first drive, they came out and punched us in the mouth, and then we just were never able to. I'm not gonna say we were never able to respond. I thought that everything was gonna be all right after Garrett Wilson made that ridiculous catch because I'm like, okay, this is the Ohio State offense that we know, we love. This is but honestly, it's the same reasons that we were panicking week 2 after we lost to Oregon is exactly why we lost this week. I guess somewhere in between this time, we thought that, since we can run over the Big Ten, we can, we steamrolled through Michigan State, which was such a tease, like for no, like why go out and beat them 56-7 and then show up to Ann Arbor the way that we did? It was embarrassing. Like, and I was in Ann Arbor for the game, so
Oh, you are?
So yeah, I got I think I've said this before, but one of my good friends goes up there, so I was able to stay at his house with some of my other Ohio State friends who we're all wearing our scarlet and gray. It's honestly, it's a fun.
Were you
game.
at the game or you were up there?
We just went to like a restaurant and watched it.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a fun atmosphere to be in though. Just, I mean, the best fans on earth, all just going at it, just yelling at each other. It was a good time, other than the fact that we lost. But yeah, we didn't we didn't show up to play as a football team. And CJ Stroud, this is the same. I'm not going to say anything like terrible about CJ because he's a Heisman candidate. He's done everything that he has to do. He's done everything he has to do.
DJ Chris Styles in here talking about no CJ Stroud slander.
No slander. But he's not a. I don't know. He showed why he doesn't have that it factor. Exactly like you said, Marshawn. Like he's never gonna be that guy for me. Like even if he wins the Heisman this year, he just won't.
Yeah, I tried to say it, man. Like you can normally tell when a guy has it in him, and this is no disrespect to CJ. I think CJ is going to be a great player wherever he goes, But again, I said before, and like I'm gonna keep saying, you got it. Ohio State got a guy that came in last year that's making 1 point. I don't care what nobody say. That NIL stuff makes a difference, man. You're not getting 1.4 million in NIL deals just to sit on the bench, just to sit down somewhere. And I feel like CJ Stroud had that chance to quiet all the Quinn Ewers noise and all like that by going out and dominating Michigan. By you not doing that, you allowing even and CJ may go out and win the competition in the spring, but you allowing Ryan Day to say, "Hey, all possibilities are open." I could have a new quarterback. Travion is not going nowhere. I can revamp my line. I can revamp my whole defense. Only thing that's set in stone, I believe, is Travion at running back and your wide receivers. They're the only two positions that I feel like is set in stone. Everything else, I feel like Ryan Day is going to look and see if he's able to upgrade.
I totally agree. But also, it's going to be interesting next year, too, because, a big reason why I feel like a lot of people have said CJ's had so much success. And he's going to be a good, like you said, wherever he'll go, he'll at least be like a solid guy. But it definitely helps when you have three of the top receivers in the country. I mean, three guys that are all certified first round draft picks. And, Chris Olave, he can't, it might be different because of COVID, but he's not going to be back next year. I don't think Garrett Wilson's going to be back next year.
And they all
not going to be back?
Jackson Smith has to stay, but
I think if this might sound crazy, but Olave coming back definitely says never say never about Garrett Wilson. Do I think Garrett Wilson's coming back? Absolutely not. Will I be surprised if he comes back? Absolutely not.
Really, I don't. I think Garrett's gone.
Because them guys are gone. Just because the talent they got behind them, like they got some gunners behind them, some really good receivers behind them. Yeah, and them receivers not good. And at the time of transfer and transfer portal, you got to keep them guys behind happy. And if those guys come back, Garrett Wilson, Olave, they were losing a receiver or two after the spring.
I agree.
So that's true.
That's why those Garrett is going. There's nothing else he can do. There's nothing more he can do. He's done. Olave is nothing more he can do. He's done. He's showed enough. You go when your stock is hot in the NFL for the NFL wise. Like you go now when your stock is hot because you come back, they're gonna start picking you apart. Oh, he can't do this. Well, he can't get off this.
Don't you think? Would you say Olave's stock last year was higher than it is this year?
Nah.
Oh no.
Nah. This year he's it.
Yeah.
You got to look at last year's receiving class. Also was last year's draft class as a whole was, light years ahead of this year's draft class. There's nobody in this. There aren't many guys in this draft class that excite me. I guess also because the Browns are in the middle, so I don't really know what we're gonna do. I'm hoping maybe that either Olave or Wilson can fall to us in the first round, but.
Need to go get it, guys. I like Olave. I like Wilson. They're go get it, guys. We talk about CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud threw the ball phenomenal in that game. I was impressed. And I was more impressed with him how the checkdowns he had of different blitzes that was coming at him and different defense that was coming at him. That's why I was super impressed. That's why I cheer for him just because the things he is light years ahead of any Ohio State quarterback that they had as a passer.
Hey, I know you want to get something off your chest, man. Go ahead and get it off your chest, too.
Yeah.
Go ahead and get that off your chest, man.
No. I love CJ Stroud. No. I told you I'm a champion because I think he's a really, really good quarterback. I mean,
I
the
think
throws he was making, and putting them in the spots for the receivers to catch it on a tight man-to-man defense he was going against. He was going against a really good defense that was schemed up well against them. And for him to only throw the ball 49 times as a sophomore, only missed 15 passes, right? No interceptions, 2 touchdowns. I mean, come on now. I mean, I'm just saying, that's tough. In a big game like that, that's tough. I would never put that game on him. That's a Ryan Day call.
It definitely wasn't on him. It was that game was absolutely on the defense. Like there's nothing else you can say. They ran all over us. I mean,
When I told Rachel in the beginning, like I think it was last week, I said, Rachel, they never seen defensive ends like this before. And I said, if they playing 5 wide, they're gonna throw the ball all the time. It's 1-on-1 every time with these ends. It's gonna give Ohio State trouble. They're going to keep somebody in, and they never did. They didn't keep anybody in. They didn't bring a tight end in. They didn't do anything. They just said, we're gonna run with our 3 wide, 4 wide guys, and we're gonna try to beat you like that. And the weather has something to do with it. The elements, and when you're a passing team, you got 2 DNs that are really that future first round picks. That's tough for all. Yeah. That's tough. I mean, 5 false starts. They'll tell you everything.
Yeah. Enjoy it, man. Hey, Chris Styles, enjoy it because it won't be again next year. Ohio State. Know. I'll tell you this.
You don't know. They both got great recruiting classes coming in.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I'm actually going to disagree. I think this is still going to be a good game next year.
Like it's the same team coming back. It's like nobody. Michigan team is a young team.
I'll say this too. Their offense is going to be better next year because I really like JJ McCarthy. I think
McCarthy. You got a couple
running backs. He's going to be the best
running back. Donovan Edwards. Yeah, Donovan Edwards.
Yeah.
You got
so what
Bell
are
coming
they
back.
Doing with, back. I hope.
The whole team comes. The whole line. The line
I hope
is
he
junior.
come back. I pray Cade come back. I pray he come back. But that's a light version of Baker Mayfield right there, man. That's Baker. That's Baker Light. That's a great value version of Baker.
But this is college football. College football, you can do anything with your quarterback. It doesn't matter what your quarterback doing in college football because you got.
The reason why I say next year I think Ohio State gonna win convincingly. One thing about Ryan Day, when it comes to revenge games, he has a whole different attitude. Look at Clemson. Clemson. He was steaming about that Clemson game because he thought that Clemson got away with some calls. What happened last year? Blew Clemson out the water.
Just saying, man, right? You don't know. He only been
Ryan,
there 3 years, bro. You can't really say that about him. He's not Urban Meyer. He's not Jim Tressel. He's not. You can tell by the way Ohio State played. They did not take that game as serious. Remember last year, the year before, they said, "Oh, Michigan, Ohio just don't. They don't take Michigan don't serious." They did not see that. Never happened up Urban Meyer. It would never happen up under Jim Tressel because they don't. No matter what the records are, they're going to say, "No, we're going in like this is a championship game," and they did not. And that's the coaching staff today. That's Dave.
Well, I mean, the good thing about Ryan Day, I mean, I was reading something where his trajectory of coaching career is basically on the same level as Jim Tressel. You know, your 3rd year in, the year after you go to a national championship, you lose to Michigan. You know, then the next year after that, Tressel never lost again. So, man, I just feel like next year, you know, it's the first time it'll be in Ohio Stadium in 2 years, 3 years. So I think it'll be an extra added motivation, man. And one thing about Ryan Day, them revenge games, I've seen it. You know what I mean? He could definitely prove me wrong, and Michigan could definitely lose. But I still don't believe that Michigan talent-wise have gathered the type of players that Ohio State has. I mean, is Michigan in the same tier as like my school, Maryland, Rutgers, things like that? No, absolutely not. I think Michigan is definitely a tier 1 school. I think Michigan is definitely a tier 1 school. But as far as do they have that top quality talent like Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama, and soon to be USC? No, I still don't believe it. They can't even keep people in state.
They take what you think? Who do you think they get this guy? Donovan Edwards was the top running back in state. They kept him. They got the top 10 recruiting class the last 3 years. You must have watched recruiting. You watch as much recruiting as I do. Yes.
I do watch it. I do. Ohio State.
Ohio State does get top 3. They get top 3. Yes, they do. Michigan is right back, and Michigan's number 2 in the Big Ten, and always between 5 and 10 nationally with recruiting. They get players. They get players. I watch this. Trust me, I do recruiting heavy because that's what I do on the side. I watch who they get. They get top players. They're in top 10. They get players. Just like everybody else get players. Oklahoma get players. Clemson's going to get players. Everybody's going to get players. Now, the problem is, are you going to develop your players? You get 5 stars. I say 1 million 5-stars flame out at Ohio State. 1 million of them. Because they get a lot of them, and they flame out. Your question is, when you get those players, can you develop them? Can you develop? And he developed Hutchinson, who was a 3-star guy, and he developed them. The other DN was a 2-3-star guy. They develop them. Your key is develop it.
Right.
Your players. And if you can't develop it, he actually got a coaching staff that can develop. Even Alave was a 3-star guy. He wasn't a 5-star.
Right.
3 about developing. And if you got the coaching staff that can develop the players, then that's where you go. It doesn't matter. You can get 1 million 5-stars all you want. Well, if they don't develop as freshmen up to their sophomore, junior year, it means nothing. Absolutely nothing.
I agree.
So they're good. They both teams in a good spot. You want the Big Ten to be great. You just don't want one team dominating.
No, I said this win helped the rivalry. It helped the Big Ten. That way, Ohio State ain't the only team in the Big Ten. That's why I feel like, I don't know. I think that, until I see Michigan develop, like you say, develop those quality of players, develop, all of those good players. We'll see it.
Do their players go to the league?
Yes. Are they great players? Are they
good players? They're still out there. There's not a lot of great Ohio State players in the league. It's the same amount. If you look at the top, listen, they put them out there. They put out the team that put out the most kids in the league so far, and the top 3 teams were Alabama, Michigan, Ohio State. It's still up there. Like, it doesn't matter in the last 10 years. It doesn't matter. So as long as you put good players, everybody's not going to be great. Ohio State don't got great players in the league. They have good players, but they have just as amount. They don't have great players. Like, man, he's from Ohio State. He's a great player. Who's a great player from Ohio State? You say that's great. Right now. That's great.
Joey Bosa is great.
He's good. I haven't heard his name all year.
Michael Thomas is great. He's hurt. Even though he's hurt, he's great.
He's not great. He's good.
Oh, my goodness. Marshawn Lattimore is he's good. Good could be great. Good. Denzel Ward ain't great, but he's good.
You said great. They put out good players. They put out good players. It's just good players. It's fine. That's what you do. You want to go to be able to get to the league, go be good. Everybody ain't gonna be great.
But all your team need is good.
All your team needs is guys who gonna be NFL draft picks, or in the college football team. And
there it is. All right, Ohio State right now got 58 players in the NFL.
Whoa, that's a
Michigan got 42. Michigan got 42.
That's a lot, isn't it? 42 for a team that everybody don't think is good.
What? How many Alabama got?
Think about that. You got 42 players in the league for a team that
got 64.
And there you go.
And LSU got 50. LSU is third with 58. It's Alabama, Ohio State, LSU. They got 53.
Michigan.
And there you go.
Michigan and then Georgia.
And there you go.
Yeah. Well, all right. Michigan produces some good players, and they're still in the league. Hats off to them.
Ohio State do too. I just don't like Ohio State fans. I don't get no free for Ohio State.
Hats
Just
off to
the fans.
them, and maybe we'll hang 100 on them like Ryan Day said.
Next year.
Yeah,
You are a
man.
Maryland
No.
fan.
That's cool. Hey, listen. The best thing that could ever happen to my Maryland Terps today was Lincoln Riley going to USC.
Was
We
it?
about to steal Caleb. Man. My guy Loxley is gonna be on the phone with Caleb Williams tomorrow. How much money you want? What you need in the NIL deal? Come home. It ain't nothing Norman, Oklahoma can give you that College Park in the DMV area can't. Come back
Yeah,
home.
but yeah, and not Maryland. He shouldn't.
Well, fellas,
Okay.
that's it for Her in the Huddle. Lots of great conversation today. Too bad, the Browns lost and also Ohio State, but, we will be back. This is Her in the Huddle from our Sean and Caleb. You're listening to Her in the Huddle, WOVU 95.9 FM.